Om Shri Sai Ram, offering most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our ever-present Lord, invoking Bhagawan's presence and benediction in this holy satsang here today. Respected elders and dear brothers and sisters, my loving Sai Ram to all of you, and happy, holy Easter to all of you. Firstly, I offer this talk on the topic, the message of the Gita in the light of Bhagawan's teachings at the divine lotus feet. Bhagawan's every word is a mantra, every phrase is a sutra, every sentence a Gayatri, and every discourse an Upanishad. This is what Professor Kasturiji, the biographer of Bhagawan, the Vyasa and the Valmiki of Sai Avatar said once. Yes, who else other than the Sai Krishna of Kali Yuga can simplify for us the teachings of Lord Krishna of Dwapara Yuga? The Bhagawad Gita, the song divine as the name goes, is dateless. We do not know when it was first given to humanity. As the Lord himself tells in the 4th chapter, the Gita was first taught to sun god Vivaswan, and then it was handed over from him to King Manu and then to King Ikshvaku. And we all know what Lord Krishna taught Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is made known to us by the author of Mahabharata, Maharshi Vedavyasa. Swami says, Vyasa is one of the primary gurus of humanity. Why? Because he classified the Vedas, he gave the scriptures to us. And that is why Swami says, the holy festival of Guru Purnima, which is dedicated to the worship of the Sadguru, is also celebrated as Vyasa Purnima. The Gita is the milk of the Upanishads. Who is the cowherd who is drawing the milk? It is the greatest of the Yadavas, Lord Krishna. And who is the calf that is the stimulus for this milk secretion? It is Arjuna. And who are the beneficiaries of this milk? Swami says it is the entire mankind. For mere sustenance, we need the Gita in our day-to-day life. The teachings are so profound. And Swami also clarifies as to why the Lord chooses Arjuna as the recipient, the blessed recipient of the Gita. There was Bhima, who was known for his physical strength, and also there was Yudhishthira, whose name itself is Dharmaraja, who upholds the righteousness, who was a wise scholar. Even he did not receive the Gita. And why Arjuna? Swami says, Arjuna means, the name itself says, he is a pure-hearted one. And Swami says, Yudhishthira also had only Paschatapa, after repentance. After the war is over, Yudhishthira laments saying, what is the use of this kingdom which is built on the tombs of so many lives? Whereas, Swami says, Arjuna had Purvatapa. Before the war begins, he tries to see the futility of the war. And he doesn't know what to do, whether to fight or not. And he humbly surrenders to the Lord. And that is why Krishna selects Arjuna to receive the Gita. And at this juncture, it may not be out of the context if I say Arjuna was not the lone recipient of Gita in the Mahabharata war. Why? There was this Sanjaya who had a special vision, who could see the war and give a running commentary to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra also listens to the Gita. But Dhritarashtra was not only physically blind, he was mentally blind as well. Why? Because of his putra vyamoha, his attachment to Duryodhana. The Gita falls on the deaf ears of Dhritarashtra. So dear brothers and sisters, having been blessed with the opportunity to understand the teachings of Krishna through Sai Krishna, see, Bhagawan has written Gita Vahini. He has given exclusive discourses on the Gita, which are in the form of 2 books and CDs, and in umpteen number of discourses, Bhagawan explains the meanings of various verses from the Gita. So having had this unique opportunity, we must not remain like Dhritarashtra. We must engage in Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, listen to the teachings, contemplate on them, till they sink into us, they become a part of us, so that we are able to bring forth these teachings in our day-to-day life. Swami says, if you practice the message of the Gita in daily life, the way you act itself becomes karma yoga, the way you think itself becomes bhakti yoga, the way you reason out itself becomes gnana yoga. The Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters or adhyayas. Each adhyaya is called a yoga. Yoga means union with the Lord. It arises from the dhatu or the root yuj. The first chapter is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the grief or despondency of Arjuna. Because of the grief that Arjuna experiences, he establishes a union or the yoga with the Lord. And this is what happens to us, isn't it? Whenever we have a problem, we run to the Lord for solution. Sankatam vaste Venkataramana. But this is in a way good. Instead of going to some ordinary people, if we go to the Lord just as Arjuna does, we get the best solution for our problem. That is why Arjuna Vishada Yoga is very important for us. The Gita is the medicine that Krishna prescribes for Arjuna disease. What is this Arjuna disease? Arjuna, out of his spiritual ignorance, his false identity with the body, mind, the ego, the intellect's complex, he deludes himself to be the doer in the war. He tells Krishna, Drishtvemam Swajanam Krishna, wherever I see my own people. And how am I going to fight them if I have to win back my kingdom? I have to kill my guru, my grandsire, my own cousins, my own kith and kin. What use is this war is of to me? And this killing will incur me a lot of sin. So I don't know what to do. Arjuna develops typical symptoms of anxiety, neurosis. The body starts shaking, the mouth goes dry, the mind is confused and blank. He doesn't know what to do. The hands start trembling. Gandivam sramsate hastat, this famous bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hand. And saying so, he casts away the Gandiva, the bow, and sits back in the chariot with folded hands, completely surrendering to the Lord. Lord, please show me the way. I don't know what to do. And this surrender of Arjuna is a very, very symbolic act for the entire humanity. Why? The body of ours is the chariot. The 5 horses of the chariot are our 5 senses, and the reins of the chariot is the mind. Arjuna represents the Jivatma, Krishna represents the Paramatma. The famous bow Gandiva is the ego, and the quiver and the arrows in the quiver of Arjuna are our egocentric actions. It is only when we cast away our ego, the bow, and surrender to the Lord, just as Parthasarathi guided Partha to victory, our Sanatana Sarathi can guide us to our destination. And this analogy of body being compared to the chariot is given in Kathopanishad. Bhagawan gives us a more modern example. He says, body is nothing but an automobile. The wheels are the senses. The brake is the mind. The driver is the intellect. If the mind is enslaved by the senses, there is bondage. If the mind follows the directives of the buddhi, the intellect, there is liberation. Manahyeva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayu. Mind is either the captor or liberator. And this beautiful shloka in the Gita illustrates this. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuratmaiva ripuratmanaha. One has to uplift the mind, which is the lower self, with the Atma, which is the higher self. We must never downgrade this lower self. Why? This mind is our best enemy or worst. If it's our best friend, or worst enemy, depending upon how we use it. So just like Arjuna does, when we elevate our mind with the Atma, we get Atma Kripa. When we have Atma Kripa, the Guru appears on the scene just like Krishna does for Arjuna. We get the Guru Kripa. When we have the Guru Kripa, when we practice the teachings of the Guru, we get Shastra Kripa. When we get the Shastra Kripa, we get Ishvara Kripa, the grace of the Lord. And we are all like Arjunas, isn't it? In everyday life, we have this dilemma, to be, not to be, to do or not to do. And just like Arjuna, we also give excuses. We justify the demand of our mind by using Bhagawan's teachings to suit our convenience. We question the will of the Lord with our ego. That is why we need the Gita like Arjuna did. A blessed couple with a 10-year-old child had an interview with Bhagawan once. And Bhagawan tells this 10-year-old boy, "You can ask me any questions, I will tell you." And this boy, out of boyish enthusiasm, he asks Swami, "Swami, which is your favorite car?" And Swami says, "It is Morris Minor." And Swami goes on to explain to this boy how he got his license and how he would drive from Puttaparthi to Chennai those days. And the boy is kept captivated by this narration. And then Swami asks the boy, "Will you give your car to me?" "Oh yes, Swami." "If I give my car to you, will you take?" "Yes, Swami." Then Swami asks, "Will you allow me to drive your car?" The boy says, "Oh yes, Swami, drive my car." Then Swami touches the heart of this little boy and says, "This is the car I want to drive." Dear brothers and sisters, if all of us, if we can only allow this divine driver to drive the car of our heart without doing backseat driving, this is something which we must all ponder over all the time. As Swami himself says, the heart is not a double-seater sofa. It has only one seat. Either the world or the God can occupy, and the choice is ours. Swami says the Gita is a kalpavriksha. It is a wish-fulfilling tree. We have our own kalpavriksha in Patti, the old tamarind tree on top of the hill, from which Swami as a young boy would pluck fruits of devotees' choice, even exotic fruits, out of the season fruits, everything would come from the same tree. And Swami would give it to the devotees and he would fulfill their wishes. Gita is such a wish-fulfilling tree. Whatever doubts we have, we get satisfactorily answered in the Gita. As Swami himself says, "I am only a mirror. You see your own reflection in me." Gita is the mirror in which the votaries of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Gnana Yoga, everyone find their own reflection and they are satisfied by the answers they get. This is the profundity of the Gita. As the Lord himself says, "Ye yatham mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham." Whichever way you approach me, I will accept you as such. I don't differentiate between you at all. Between a karma yogi, bhakta, nothing. Everyone is same to me. And if we see the teachings of Bhagawan, we understand Bhagavan gives an apadamastaka drishti to view the Gita. Apadamastaka means head to toe, head to foot view. Because Swami says, just as the human body is encompassed between the head and the foot, the entire Gita, the 18 chapters and 700 odd verses is encompassed in only 2 words. The first word of the first shloka and the last word of the last shloka. The first word is dharma, the last word is mama. Swami says the central message of the Gita is mama dharma, my dharma. Mama in Sanskrit is my. Swadharma, my own dharma. So now comes the question, what is the meaning of swadharma? See, is swadharma ashrama dharma, that is discharging our duty by virtue of being in the particular stage of life, like the 4 ashramas are brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha or sannyasa, or is it varna dharma, that is the brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra? Is this our dharma? Is this the true swadharma? Or is it achara dharma, that is discharging our own duty based upon circumstances, certain code of conduct, etiquette we have to follow? Or is it desha dharma? What is swadharma? And in this context itself, there is a shloka in the Gita, swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. It is better to die performing our own swadharma rather than performing someone else's dharma or paradharma, which is fraught with fear. See, this is the literal meaning of the shloka. In the context of this literal meaning, Swami tells us a Chinakatha. There was a dhobi. The dhobi had a donkey and a dog. The donkey was used to carry the pile of clothes, and the dog was stationed at the entrance of the dhobi ghat, so that the dog can alert the master whenever some thieves come to steal away the clothes. This dhobi gets angry with the dog one day and he beats the dog. So the dog wants to protest. Though it sees somebody entering into the place, it doesn't alert the master, it doesn't bark. But the donkey, seeing this, out of its loyalty for the master, the donkey starts braying to alert the attention of the master. And we all know how melodious, how musical the Gardhaba Gana is, the braying of the donkey to our ears. And this washerman, the dhobi, gets angry all the more, and he comes and beats the donkey as well. So here we see in this Chinnakatha, though the intention of the donkey was right, just because the donkey tried to take upon itself someone else's dharma which is alien to its own self, what happens? It comes under punishment. Swami says, is this swadharma? No, not at all. Categorically, this is not swadharma. Then what else is swadharma according to Swami? It is atma dharma. Mama dharma is equal to swadharma is equal to atma dharma. It is only when we perform our dharma according to the dictates of the Atma, then we can say we are following the central message of the Gita, which is Mama Dharma. So, it is better to die performing our own Atma Dharma rather than performing any other Dharma. Even Desha Dharma, Kala Dharma, Deha Dharma, Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, all this becomes Paradharma. Only Atma Dharma is Swadharma or Mama Dharma. This is the message of the Gita. And when that is why, Swami would commence his discourse by addressing as Divyatma Swarupalara to remind us of our own true identity, our own Atma Dharma. And Swami says, when you perform this Atma Dharma, you attain 4 things in one go. The first one is you always look inwards. This inner vision you get. You always refer to your Atma to get the guidance, and your decisions are based on the Atma Dharma. And because of this, your own faith in your true nature of the Atma that is, that you yourself are divine, will increase. You realize this, your own innate divinity. And when it happens, you see the divinity in others also. You realize the Atma is same for me, same for you, same for everyone. You recognize this oneness in creation. So because of this Atma Dharma, you are in supreme bliss, Sachidananda. You are immersed in Atmic bliss, and there is no state higher than this. This is the reward we get when we perform the Atma Dharma. Just to deliberate on Atma Dharma more, see, in the scriptures itself, we have shining examples of Atma Dharma. We all know the Upanishad says, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. Revere your own father, mother and preceptor as God. But even this fades into the background when it comes to Atma Dharma. Why? See, we have the example of Bharata, who disobeys his mother Kaikeyi to uphold the Atma Dharma. We have the example of Prahlada, who disobeys his own father Hiranyakashyapa to uphold Atma Dharma because the father's actions were adharmic. We have the example of Emperor Mahabali, who disobeys his own preceptor Guru Shukracharya. When Shukracharya tells him, please don't go ahead and give the 3 steps of land to this dwarf Brahmin because there is some trick in it, you please think over. Emperor Mahabali says, no, it is my Atma Dharma. Even if I lose my life, it doesn't matter. I will go ahead. Promise I have given to this Brahmin Vamana. This is true Atma Dharma. And on the other hand, in the Mahabharata itself, we have this mighty Bhishmacharya. And where was his Atma Dharma when Draupadi was being disrobed in the court of Kauravas? Where was his Atma Dharma when he joins hands with the adharmic forces to fight the battle of Kurukshetra just to uphold his Desha Dharma? And where was the Atma Dharma of Karna when he becomes a willing accomplice to all the misdeeds of Duryodhana just to uphold his Mitra Dharma or friendship with Duryodhana? See, suppose we are going on a road and we happen to see an accident, and the accident victim is lying helplessly on the road, and you want to rush this person to the hospital for treatment. But the people gathered there will alert you. They keep telling you, no, just wait for a minute, the police will come and let them finish their formalities, because if you help now, what happens? You may have to face the legal hassles. The law of the land is so strict, you yourself may be implicated. Just wait. Then where is your Atma Dharma? What is your Atma Dharma? Your Atma Dharma is to save the life of this victim. Everything else, the police verification or whatever, everything becomes secondary in front of this Atma Dharma. So Atma Dharma is so profound as this, and we have to always live by our Atma Dharma. And when we do this, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha, that Dharma itself will protect us. And that is why when Arjuna surrenders to Krishna, Krishna straight away begins his counsel by discoursing on the nature of the Atma. And Arjuna might have been wondering, what has this Atma got to do with my predicament? I want to know whether to fight or not, that's all. But Krishna doesn't leave him there. Krishna says, what are you grieving for? Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam, this mean weakness of the heart, it doesn't befit you, it doesn't suit you. Klaibhyam Masmagamah Partha, don't give in to, don't yield to cowardice, impotence. It is not befitting you at all. You are a mighty warrior, you are a scholar. You cannot afford to be emotional at this crucial moment. Why? You have to be like Padmapatramivambhasa, be like a lotus leaf in water. Just as the lotus leaf is born in muddy, slushy water, it derives its nourishment from this water, grows and dies away in the same water. It doesn't allow to be moistened or wet or become impure by this water. It remains pure and dry. The same way the Lord says, though we are born in this universe as an entity, though we derive our nourishment from the objectives, the tangible objectives of this external world, we must not get attached to the merits and demerits of our actions in this world. Why? Because these merits and demerits belong only to ego. They don't belong to the Atma at all. And ego is the anesthetic that numbs the pain of spiritual ignorance. Only when ego goes, the ignorance goes, and we see the true light of the Atma. That is why renunciation, sannyasa, as it is told in the Gita, is nothing but renunciation of this ego, our identity with the I am this body, I am the doer, I am the mind, I am this intellect. This has to go. That is why the Lord tells Arjuna, what are you grieving for? You are grieving for those who do not deserve any grief. All this Bhishma, Drona, Kauravas, everyone have come to this war to fight the war, thinking it is their Swadharma, but it is not true Atma Dharma. And even if you kill them in the war, you are only destroying their bodies, that's all. You are not touching the Atma. The Atma is the eternal, indestructible, permanent entity. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu is only applicable for the body. The body is born and it will die. But for the Atma, it is na jayate na mriyate. The Atma is never born and the Atma never dies. So you are not really killing the true spirit of anybody in this. And moreover, you have come to this karma kshetra and you have to do your duty. You have to act. Action is inevitable for you, but you have to spiritualize your action. Why? Because we have to go back to the source from where we have come. We have to fulfill the purpose of life, which is possible only when we spiritualize our actions. And this can be done only through Atma Dharma. So Arjuna, you are not the doer. And you are not fighting this war to get back the kingdom which your cousins have cheated you of, but for the sake of Atma Dharma. It is a dharmic battle between dharma and adharma, and you have to fight out this adharmic forces. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Think of me and fight the battle. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. Just be an instrument. With this, we come to the next chapter, the Karma Yoga, which is another profound message of the Lord in the Gita. The Lord continues to say, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karmakrit. No one can abstain from karma or action even for a single moment. See, a process as subtle as our own breathing, the beating of the heart, everything is a karma. Karma is inevitable for us. It is this karma that binds us to the samsara, karmanubandhini loke, as Swami would say. And so where is the escape? Where is the way out for us from this binding karma? The secret is given by the Lord in this shloka. This is one of the most widely quoted, I can even say misquoted shloka. And just before that, I will tell what Swami says about Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Swami says we all take birth after birth because of three reasons. One is spiritual ignorance. Next one is the unfulfilled desires. To fulfill them, we have to come back again and again into this world. And then the sins that we commit. To atone for these sins and for the soul to learn the lessons, we have to come back again and again. And spiritual ignorance means we forget that we are divine beings with a human experience and we have to go back to Him from where we have come. We get so carried away by the role that we play in this tangible world. We want this to go on and on. That is the ignorance. That is why we identify ourselves with the body and the mind, and we think we are the doers, we are the enjoyers. And if we have to put an end to this cycle of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, we need the karma yoga. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karmaphala heturbhuhu ma te sangaha astu akarmani. See, most people say you have right for your action, but you have no right for the fruit of action. But Swami says this is incorrect. If Krishna were to say you have no right for the fruit of action, he would use the word na phaleshu and he would not say ma phaleshu. So how do we interpret this shloka in the light of Bhagawan's teachings? Bhagawan says this verse has to be interpreted in the context of karma phala tyaga, renouncing the fruit of action. You should not desist from the karma, mate sangaha astu akarmani. And at the same time, you should not engage in action, not only with an eye on the fruit of action. I am doing this, I am going to get something out of it. No, you have to do your karma. How? The Lord gives the secret. Swami explains the secret here. He says, do and deny the consequence. Action is your province. Every action has an outcome, good or bad, depending on it. We don't know what is going to come out of it. So, engaging in action and knowing that the outcome will follow, but out of your own will and determination, when you give up your attachment to the fruit of action, when you do karma phala tyaga, you transform this binding karma into karma yoga. Sarva karma bhagavad prityartham, no karma phala, only anugraha phala, the grace of the Lord. Such a karma is nishkama karma, a selfless, impersonal karma, not done with a selfish motive or with an expectation of a reward, but just done for the welfare of the world at large. And such karmas are referred to in the Gita as yajnas, sacrifice. Our entire life process must be a sacrifice like this by doing karma phala tyaga. And the highest form of nishkama karma, what is it? As Swami says in very simple terms, it is selfless seva. That is why Swami says, serve and be saved. Seva is to redeem our own lives. That is why Bhagavan's Mahavakya, love all, serve all, is so important for us to practice the karma yoga in our day-to-day life. So much for karma yoga. And now we come to bhakti. Swami says this particular shloka in the Gita forms numerically the central point of the Gita. The Gita has about 700 odd verses, and this is the 360th verse. It numerically, not only numerically it is the central point, but it is also the central fulcrum on which the entire Gita stands. Swami says, Ananyash chintayanto maam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Whoever is devoted to me, whoever worships me with unswerving devotion, then I will take the burden of welfare of such a devotee, both yoga and kshema, the temporal material welfare, yoga, the spiritual welfare. I will give both annam and amritam, the responsibility is mine. What a wonderful assurance that the Lord has given to the humanity in the Gita. And Swami, in a very simple way, he says, that is why Bhakti Yoga is like the path of the kitten. Just like a mother cat carries the kitten wherever it goes and protects the kitten. When we surrender to the Lord through Bhakti, the responsibility becomes His. That is why it is said, there can be a karma bhrashta, there can be a yoga bhrashta, there is no bhakti bhrashta. Even from the path of karma yoga, the service, you can fall down when you develop ego, doership, pride. Even in meditation, you can experience fall. But a devotee has no fall at all. Why? He has already fallen at the lotus feet of the Master. How lower can he go? It is only a uddhara, it is only upliftment for the devotee. This is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga, and it is very, very important for us if we have to progress spiritually. And Swami says, what is the foundation for this bhakti? It is the unflinching faith in divinity. When we believe in the Lord, whatever happens, happens for my highest good. He knows what is good for me, He will give me. Then we develop implicit obedience to the commands of the Lord. When we have obedience, then we unconditionally accept His will. We don't question His will. So we surrender to Him. Surrender is a state in which a ego-centric life is transformed into God-centric life. That is why we realize when we surrender to the Lord, everything is from God and ultimately everything is God. That is why Swami says, in bhakti there is no vibhakti, there is no separation. And when it comes to faith, Bhagawan gives this beautiful analogy. He says, when you are driving your car through rough roads, you have to frequently switch the gears to make the transition smooth, isn't it? The same way, when you are traversing through the rough roads of your life's journey, through triumphs and tragedies, the thick and thin, in order to make this transition smooth, you hold on to the clutch of faith and just think whatever happens, happens for my highest good, and this too shall pass. Have this positive attitude in the life always. And Swami asks, what is the proof of devotion? Just as the proof of rain is the wetness of the ground, Swami says the proof of devotion is the peace of mind, is the equanimity you get. And how do we develop this equanimity? Swami says, Samadhi, as told in the Gita, is nothing but Sama plus Dhi. Equal mindedness. Sama is equal, Dhi is mind. When you have this equanimity, you are in Samadhi. And how do we develop this equanimity? Swami says, when you recognize the divine hand behind every happening, then you will not grieve or exult over any situation. You maintain this equanimity. And Bhagavan often explains the meaning of this particular verse from Bhakti Yoga to define the characteristics of an ideal devotee. Anapekshaha shuchirdakshaha udasino gatavyataha sarvarambha parityagi yad bhaktaha same priyaha. Anapekshaha, one who is free from wants. That is why Bhagavan's sealing on desires is so important for us. Don't hoard things. Swami says, Duddu is like bladdu. Duddu is money, bladdu is the blood. Just as blood circulates in the body, the Duddu also keeps on circulating. And today Sai inspires, Swami says, wealth is like an oversized or undersized shoes. It has to be always of the right size. This way, that way, the balance is lost. This is anapekshaha. Shuchihi, purity. Though we procure the best of the ingredients to prepare a special dish at home, if the vessel is not pure, the dish is bound to get spoiled. So whatever seva sadhana we do, if the heart is not pure, the vessel of the heart is not pure, then it all becomes a futile exercise. Purity is very important for a devotee. Dakshaha. Dakshaha means, Swami says, one who has firm resoluteness, one who lives his life like a penance, sacrificing it for the sake of, for the welfare of mankind. Then comes Udasinaha, one who is not affected by the dvandvas, the dualities, one who has equanimity. Gatavyataha, one who is not affected by the past, one who doesn't carry the baggage. He just forgets and forgives, that's all. As Swami says, past is history, future is mystery. Live in the present. which is not ordinary present, it is omnipresent. Why? It is the fruit of yesterday, it is the seed for tomorrow. Live the present well. This is what is meant by Gatavyataha. Then Sarvarambha Parityagi, one who renounces all his undertakings, which means one who doesn't claim any doership or ownership, one who does everything as an offering to the Lord. Sarvakarma Bhagavad Prityartham. A duty-oriented lifestyle is transformed into God-oriented lifestyle, or rather devotion-oriented lifestyle when you become a Sarvarambha Parityagi. As Swami says, love without duty is divine. This is about the Bhakti Yoga from Bhagawan's teachings. Then I come to the last chapter, the Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, and this particular verse is considered to be the last shloka or the Charama shloka in the Gita. Thereafter, whatever happens in the Gita is an epilogue of the Gita. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Renouncing all the types of dharmas, you take refuge in me alone, and I shall liberate you from all sins, and grieve not. This is the wonderful assurance that the Lord has given us in the Gita in no uncertain terms. But the question is, what is Sarvadharman Parityajya? What is renounce the desires and come to me? The Lord says Atma Dharma is the message of the Gita. Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. For the sake of Dharma you have to fight the battle. You have to fight it out in this life. Then why is he telling Sarvadharman Parityajya? Renounce the dharmas and come to me. Swami gives a very deeper insight into this shloka. Swami says dharma is also one's basic nature. The nature or dharma of fire is heat. The nature or dharma of sugar is sweetness. The same way, our dharma or nature, when we identify ourselves with the body, the dehabhimana, the deha bhranti, then our basic nature is nothing but to have desires. So when you leave these desires and come to me, then I will liberate you from all the sins. This is the meaning of the shloka as explained by Bhagawan in such a beautiful way, with such a deeper insight into this shloka of Lord Krishna. That is why Swami would often say, man minus desires is God. And Swami says, the last chapter in the Gita is called Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Liberation through renunciation. That means even your desire for liberation has to go. You have to renounce this if you want the moksha. Why? Moksha is nothing but mohakshaya. When your attachment goes, then you are instantly liberated. So Swami would jokingly say, see, people come and pester me, Swami, na mokshamu, na in Telugu is my. Where is my moksha, Swami? When is my moksha coming? If you keep on doing like this, it becomes na mokshamu. There is no moksha at all. All the desires have to go. Just do your best, what is expected of you for the sake of Atma Dharma, and leave the rest to me. Nimitta matram bhava. This is the message of the Lord in the Gita. And I will liberate you from all the sins. What are the sins that the Lord is talking about here? They are not ordinary sins. They are the four cardinal sins. What are they? Ahankara, the feeling of I. Mamakara, the feeling of mine. Kartrutva, the doership, and bhoktrutva, the enjoyership. I will liberate you from all these sins. See, even bhoktrutva, the enjoyership, is a sin. Just think, why do we chant Brahmarpanam as the food prayer? Before eating food, we chant Brahmarpanam. See, eating is a natural process. An inevitable process. To sustain ourselves, we have to eat. And most of us, all of us enjoy our food, isn't it? Especially when we are very hungry, even if the food is bad, we enjoy that food. But before eating this food, if we chant Brahmarpanam, offer the food to Lord, then even in this even in this moment or course of our natural enjoyment of a mundane act such as eating our food, we are not the bhokta, we are not the enjoyers, we are ensuring that He is the bhokta. Harir data, harir bhokta. He is the giver of food, He is the consumer of food, and He is the enjoyer of food. We are getting rid of one of the sins, bhoktritva, when we chant this Brahmarpanam as the food prayer. This is shared by a student of Bhagawan, and he is one of our Sai brothers in Oman, and he has shared this incident with us once. Swami had distributed laddu prasadam, and this boy also, this brother, had got laddu. And Swami comes and asks him, did you chant Brahmarpanam before eating the laddu? And this brother is not sure whether he chanted or not. Then Swami says, if you have chanted Brahmarpanam, Swami points to his stomach and says, the laddu will be here. That means it goes to him. He enjoys that. And we are getting rid of this bhoktritva, the enjoyership. And just think, dear brothers and sisters, if we can bring this prayerful attitude of Brahmarpanam to every act of ours, let it be our household chores or our professional duties or Sai Samiti work or whatever it may be, then we will be just like we do this Brahmarpanam before eating, then we will be elevating ourselves to a higher, to a greater, to an endless beatitude, and we will be always operating from a higher plane where we are not tainted by the consequences of our karmas. The Lord says that is why Yogasthaha kuru karmani, be established in the self and then do your actions. And this is what action in inaction, karma in akarma, and also inaction in action, akarma in karma is which the Lord says in the 4th chapter. See, Krishna says, I am Nitya Brahmachari. It doesn't mean he is a celibate. It means a Brahmachari is one who is always, who is eternally engaged in the pursuit of the knowledge of the Brahman, the Brahma Vidya. And sage Durvasa, after having a sumptuous meal, he says, I am Nitya Upavasi. It doesn't mean he is fasting. It means he is always seated near the Lord. His focus is always on Brahman. That is why even as we are engaged in discharging our worldly duties, we have to be rooted to the Atma. We have to be in alignment with our Atma. We have to get counsel from the Atma. So action is nothing but the body, and inaction is nothing but this Atma. And Swami in a very simple way says, hands in the society, head in the forest. And another wonderful declaration by the Lord in the Gita. Janma karma cha me divyameva yo vetti tatvataha Tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. Arjuna, whoever understands my divine birth and my divine action in the true light, tattvataha, such a person, when he casts his body, he will not be born again and he will come to me. See, what a wonderful assurance by the Lord. And we all know Krishna was a Purnavatar. And after Krishna, the only Purnavatar that has graced the humanity is that of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. We are a blessed generation on this earth when this Purnavatar walked this earth. We are all touched by him. We are trained by him. We are taught by him. And what more do we need other than his teachings, Sai Krishna's teachings, to practice the Gita. This is our greatest fortune. And this Purnavatar gives us a very simple formula, a threefold formula to uphold the Atma Dharma at all times, come what may. The first one is, Swami says, always think of me. How do we do this? Through Namasmarana, constantly, incessantly chanting the name of the Lord. When we are always chanting His name, we always see Him everywhere, isn't it? This is nothing but constant, integrated awareness. We are able to experience His presence in all persons, at all places, and at all times. See, it is said, just as a trained musician who is always aware of the background drone, the Shruti, will sing effortlessly. Just as a dancer who is aware of the background rhythm or the talam dances effortlessly, a person with constant integrated awareness is never ever caught on the wrong foot in his life. Why? Swami is with him, Swami is in him. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvancha maya pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. The Lord says, whoever sees me in everything and also everything in me, such a person is neither separate from me nor am I separate from him. I and you are one, as Swami would often tell us. And dear brothers and sisters, what more or what else do we need other than His teaching to perform Atma Dharma? When we perform Atma Dharma as per Swami's teachings, we are getting both Atma Sakshatkara, self-emancipation, and we are fulfilling Loka Kalyana, the welfare of the world at large. This is enough for us, His teachings, isn't it? Because Sai, S-A-I itself is service, adoration, illumination, the Karma Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, and the Gnana Yoga. How can we ever thank you, Swami? I think we can probably thank Swami only when we understand and practice the Sai Baba Gita, and when we are through our practice able to tell Swami, as Arjuna says, Nashto mohaha, the delusion is gone. Gata sandehaha, the doubt is cleared. Karishye vachanam tava, we shall abide by thy dictates. Swami, tum hi ho Gita, tum hi Ramayan, tum hi ho Veda Quran, Veda Upanishad, Gita Sai. Thank you, Swami. Thank you all. Jai Sai Ram.